This weekend in movies, Wayne! Cue the graphic. There it is.
You gotta keep J-Mac on his toes.
What were we supposed to do, J-Mac? This is the show. It's a movie show.
Charlie Sheen up in this thing. I got a logo for this.
We will be talking about Charlie Sheen later in the show, I have to say. And you want to stick around for this, and I'll give you two reasons, two words to explain why you want to stick around for this. Wade Major. Wade Major has a very serious, no BS tie to Charlie Sheen. Not a joke.
We'll cover it.
We'll cover it. Fine.
We'll cover it.
All right, so Wade, here's the situation. We have two movies we want to talk about this week.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, assuming J-Mac's ready for it.
Oh, yeah, whenever you're ready.
Oh, thank you, J-Mac. That's great.
Sorry, boss.
Yeah. Oh, he called me boss. I kind of like that. Is Rango.
Yes, not to be confused with Django.
Or Ringo Starr.
Correct.
Now, in Rango, Johnny Depp voices a pet chameleon who is separated from his terrarium, and he gets lost in the Mojave Desert. So he embarks on this journey of self-discovery where he stumbles upon the town of Dirt, which is populated by these crazy talking critters like, you know, little gophers and hawks and whatnot. And he winds up the sheriff of this town, and his major task as the new sheriff of Dirt is to find out who's been stealing the town's water supply. Let's take a look at a clip.
Oh, hey, Proboscis. Oh, Testy. Oh, no. Please, oh, please, oh, please. I have vertigo. My gland is swelling. No.
¡Ay! ¡Madre de Dios! I'll kill you! You stupid lizard! Get out of there! I'm gonna strangle your huevos!
Big Bird!
What? No, wait! I was just kidding! Come on! We're friends, right?
I don't know you!
Lizards, frogs! We're practically related! Come on, move over! I let you kiss my sister!
I love this movie.
It's a deeply disturbing scene.
You know what? And that gets to why I love the film. It has a very odd and trippy, you know, it's basically a very odd, trippy Western spoof where you get the loner who enters the Western town and then he becomes the sheriff and he's got to fight the bad guy, you know, he's got to fight the big major villains. It really does go through all those standard Western tropes, but it has a very bizarre energy that is completely different from any Pixar film, any DreamWorks film, and I just loved it. And a lot of that is Gore Verbinski. Now, Gore Verbinski is mainly known as the guy who directed the three
Pirates of the
Caribbean films.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I think Gore Verbinski is a very talented guy, and the three films of his I like the least are the three Pirates of the Caribbean films. I liked Mouse Hunt, I liked The Weatherman, I like The Mexican, and I really like Rango because he has a very interesting sensibility. You know, what's great, what he did, which is very interesting, is that usually when you do these animated films, each of the performers will record their voice separately. But this is what Verbinski did. He actually got all the actors in a room together to record, to basically act out the script in a room. So that if the script called for Rango to walk across the bar and read this line of dialogue, Johnny Depp would walk across a bar or walk across the stage and read the line of dialogue. So you get a lot of very free-flowing dialogue, a lot of improvising. It's really well done. And the movie was, it's the first full-length animated feature from ILM. Now, Industrial Light and Magic, as you know, is the it's the legendary special effects house that did, everything. Star Wars and the Star Trek films, everything. But this is their first full-length feature animated film, and as you might have noticed in that clip, it looks magnificent. It is photorealistic. It is gorgeous. It is detailed. The faces on some of these critters, you know, they're these desert animals who are just parched because there's no water in the town, and their scales are just dry and dirty, and it looks absolutely amazing, hands down. And part of that is not only ILM, but it's also Gore Verbinski, who visually has that sensibility. And you know, the movie, it has a lot of pop culture references in it, but it's not that very self-congratulatory pop culture stuff you get like in the Shrek films. Here, all of the pop culture references are kind of baked into the story. The movie is basically Chinatown, because you have a story about water in a town. Where is the water? Water rights, that kind of stuff. So it's basically Chinatown, and there are nods to Star Wars. There's also a couple of nods to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. There's a cameo by Hunter S. Thompson in the film. There's a cameo by Clint Eastwood. But I noticed when I'm watching the film, I'm thinking to myself, you know, Johnny Depp played Hunter S. Thompson in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I'm watching the film, this film Rango, and I'm thinking, God, Rango looks really familiar. And then I think to myself, you know what? I think that Rango was actually patterned after not just Johnny Depp's character in Fear and Loathing, but the one sheet of Fear and Loathing. And if you take a look, I mean, look at that. You look at the neck, you look at the eyes, you look at the cactus. I'm telling you, the cactus. I think that they kind of patterned it after that. And
it's not just the one cactus; it's two cacti, one on either side of the character.
Oh, Wade said cacti. That's just great, Wade.
Yeah.
The only okay, if I have to knock a film that I otherwise absolutely loved, I will say that I don't. It's a very dense plot, maybe a little too dense. You know, it's. If you want bang for your buck in an animated film, this is it. There's always something going on, maybe a little bit too much. And I have to say that I don't know that the movie ever completely melded the action stuff, which is more for the kids, and sort of the bizarreness, which is more for the adults. I don't know that the movie ever actually combined those really, truly successfully, but that's just an insignificant criticism of a film that I just thought was terrific. I loved it.
I obviously didn't see it. The studio did a bit of a number with the screenings. You went to Burbank to see it, I believe, right?
No, so here's what happens. Sorry about here's what happens. Every studio has their own schmagegi when it comes to screening. Sometimes you get the invite. Sometimes you have to chase after the invite. With Rango, even though it's going to be a big film that the studio is not exactly hiding,
yeah,
we had to chase after the screening.
It's amazing. I mean, I don't know anybody that got invited to a screening of it. It sort of fell through the cracks, and they didn't make it easy. And normally, the animated films, there's a Saturday or a Sunday morning screening. Bring the kids, bring the family. And this is the first one in years from anybody that didn't sort of follow that protocol.
Well, because this film really is not necessarily for kids.
Interesting.
It's rated PG, which is moderately unusual for an animated film. And a lot of it is going to go over the kids. I mean, look, the kids will enjoy the action, and there's a lot of flying scenes where, you know, they're trying to take this big jug of water across the canyon. It's kind of like Star Wars, but really it's for adults. And you know what? It's not even like the Shrek films, let's say, or Kung Fu Panda, where they throw in a couple jokes so the adults don't get bored. It's not like that. It's actually a film that is kind of for adults.
What I think is interesting from what you said is, you know, Verbinski comes to this not as an animation director, but as a feature film director. So working with the actors like that, that's really just running rehearsals. You know, it's just going like dry rehearsals around a table. And that's how he obviously works best with actors. And I've always been surprised that more animated films don't do that. Because I think I know they want to have a lot of different takes and they want to play with it a lot of different ways, but I think you get better interaction, better performances when the actors are actually acting with other actors. So I would applaud him for doing that. But what I think is really interesting is that, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but Pixar was originally Lucasfilm Animation. What? And yeah. Pixar was originally, the original incarnation was Lucasfilm Animation, and they didn't see a future in it, so they sold it to Steve Jobs, who then had them go start making animated shorts, and they made a little short called Tin Toy, which won an Oscar, and the next thing you know, that's turned into Toy Story, and the rest is history. And I think Lucas has been ruining the day that he allowed that golden goose to go away. So it's interesting.
Because he doesn't have enough golden geese.
Yeah, well, you know.
That we'll get into during the news that he keeps trying to lay.
But it's interesting that he's jumped back into this now. Here we are, you know, nearly a generation after, and they're finally trying to play catch up.
I have to tell you, based on the quality of this film, I would not be surprised if, even though it came out so early in the year, this is nominated for an Oscar for animated film. It can't not be. I mean, there's this, and there's Tintin, the Spielberg film. And
that's
you know,
mocap. That's mocap.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that would even be nominated. No. And then whatever Pixar's got coming out, Cars 2, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, I think this film is just true. I think that Pixar might have a real run for its money, more than DreamWorks Animation. I think if ILM continues to do film, now of course
it's content. It's all dependent on content, not the animation. You got to have the script. You got to have the development process to get the scripts.
The sensibility of Verbinski and Depp really make this thing what it is. I mean, I think that if you got another director in there, he may not have pushed ILM that hard.
Because remember, Pixar has a farm system. They really bring these guys up the pipeline. I mean, they are training right now the guys with the short film program that they have over there. I mean, they're training the next generation of guys who are going to be making Pixar films 10, 20 years from now. So
I would highly recommend Rango. I thought it was great.
Bravo.
So Wade, so that's Rango.
All right.